Welcome back to Backspace Academy. In this lecture, I'm going to go through a high-level overview of the Simple Workflow Service, or SWF for short. For the associate level certifications, you're going to need to have just a understanding of SWF. You're not going to need to be an expert in applying SWF and using it from a hands-on perspective, but you do need to understand what the terminology around SWF, how it works, how you would implement it, and what an example of it would look like. SWF, it coordinates work across distributed application components, and it helps implement complex business processes and application workflows. It's suitable for long-running execution. It's not really suitable, or can be used for batch processes, but it's more suitable for long-running processes, for business processes, and for long-running workflows. And it enables complex interactions between our different applications on different platforms, between AWS and on-premise infrastructure, and even with different users on AWS. The features of SWF: the tasks are executed with no duplicates. The routing, it provides routing and queuing of the tasks, and it also provides timeout and execution status of tasks. And the workflows, they can have child workflows, so you can have a hierarchy of workflows. It also allows for user data input and execution of results to be output as well. The components of SWF: a workflow, that is the control flow logic for the execution of tasks. It's like our business process flow or our workflow. So that is the control flow logic. And then we have a domain, and that contains a workflow or a number of workflows. And we have tasks, and they can be performed by executable code. They can be a web service call, or they can even be an end user input. They can be performed in parallel or serially. And so they form the basis of our workflow. Then we have actors, and the actors interact directly with SWF to coordinate tasks. So what is an actor? So an actor can be a workflow starter, it can be a decider, or an activity worker. So a workflow starter, that can initiate the execution of a workflow. A decider, that implements the workflow logic and notifies SWF of changes during the workflow execution. And the activity workers, well, they do the work. So they perform the activity tasks of the workflow. Tasks must be registered using either the console or register activity type action, which you can do through the API and CLI as well. When scheduled, you can specify a task list, which is basically a queue, and decision and activity tasks, they have separate lists or queues. Particular tasks can be assigned to a particular activity workers if required through task routing. SWF, it's implemented by having communication between the SWF service and our applications. So our applications can communicate to SWF through the software development kits that are available for a number of languages, through the SWF API, and that allows us to do HTTP post calls to the API. And we also have a flow framework, which is available for Java or Ruby, which also has a number of features that simplify creating communication paths to SWF. And SWF can also be set up using the console or the command line interface. So what does an example look like of SWF workflow? So here is a very simple example that was on the AWS website. So it's for a video transcoding application. And it's a very simple process. It just grabs a video, encodes that video, and adds digital rights management or copyright protection to that video, and then it finishes. So we have actors, as we remember from the previous slide. We have workflow starters, we have workers, and we also have decider actors. So our start of our process there, we can see in the middle there, Amazon SWF, we have encode tasks, DRM tasks, and we also have decider tasks that occur there that make decisions within that workflow. So it starts there with our web server front end. That is our workflow starter. It's our starter actor. And that will accept the video URL, and that will communicate with Amazon SWF to start the process, to start this workflow. From there, SWF will create a task for encoding, and it will put that task into a task list, and it will sit there until such time as an activity worker is available to do that task. When that task is finished, it will return the results, and those results will be looked at by the decider actor, and then the decider will decide or will communicate back to the SWF service. And from there, if everything is okay, it will go on to the next task, being the DRM task. And again, that will go into another task list. And when a worker is available, then that task will be completed. And then we go back, the decider will decide that the execution has been completed, and that will be the end of that process. So that's a very simple application, but as you can see, SWF takes a lot of the headache out of implementing business processes to implementing workflows in a very systematic way. So that's the end of that lesson on SWF, and I look forward to you in the next ones.